All right, today we're jumping into a really cool, imaginative story that mashes up one of history's most iconic queens with a visitor from, well, way, way into the future. Let's get into this unique spin on the legend of Cleopatra.
So the story kicks off with that old saying, right? They say curiosity killed the cat, but then it adds a little twist. Nobody ever talks about what happens to archaeologists. And that one line, it just perfectly sets the scene for a journey that's all about discovery, taking huge risks, and that deep human need to know more.
Okay, so our story really gets going with a massive leap into the unknown. We meet an archaeologist who is right on the edge of finding something so huge, it could basically rewrite everything we thought we knew about our own history. So let me introduce you to Dr. Nadine. She spent 15 years of her life studying lost civilizations, and one day her team's radar picks up something weird buried deep underground, beneath a pizza shop, of all places. What they find inside is an object made of this glass that is so advanced, the technology to make it just shouldn't exist for thousands of years. It's a total impossibility. So, completely driven by that unstoppable curiosity, Nadine just ignores her colleagues' warnings. She walks right up to this strange artifact and says, "If I don't return, publish my findings and take care of my cat." Then she touches it, and in a flash of light, she's just gone.
The next thing she knows, Nadine is standing in this grand, incredible hall, totally confused. And her very first thought? It's just complete disbelief. She's wondering, is this some kind of crazy prank? Am I on the most expensive film set in history? But then the dust, the sounds, the smells, it all feels way too real. This is something else. She's actually in ancient Egypt.
And this is where things get really interesting. Our time-traveling scholar is about to come face-to-face with someone she's only ever read about in books, the one and only Queen Cleopatra. So she's dragged before the throne, and the woman sitting there, there's just no mistaking it. It's Queen Cleopatra. Nadine is trying her best not to totally freak out, but she's got to think fast. I mean, how on earth do you explain time travel to one of the most powerful rulers in all of history? And wow, this moment right here tells you everything you need to know about Cleopatra's genius. As Nadine is fumbling to explain herself, Cleopatra just cuts right to the chase. She points out that Nadine speaks like a scholar, but her accent is totally foreign. So she figures she has to be a prophet, a madwoman, or something else very, very strange. But instead of panicking or cowering, Nadine does something incredibly bold. She looks the queen in the eye and tells her that she comes from a future where Egypt's glory is still studied and that her knowledge of what's coming could be an unbelievably powerful tool for the queen and her kingdom. And in a move that probably shocked everyone in the room, Cleopatra actually agrees. She's smart enough to value honesty and sees the incredible potential in Nadine's unique point of view. She makes it official, saying, "I trust those who wish well for Egypt." And just like that, this total stranger from another time becomes her personal advisor. So, this brand new partnership, it gets thrown into the fire almost immediately. A huge crisis hits, and it's about to show us a way of thinking about leadership that is so advanced it feels like it came from the future itself. So, the kingdom is in serious trouble. The Nile River, the literal lifeblood of Egypt, has dried up, and that means a massive famine is sweeping the land. People are starving, and the whole kingdom is teetering on the edge of collapse. Now, while all her advisors are freaking out about the treasury, Cleopatra lays out this absolutely brilliant two-part plan. First, open up the royal grain stores and sell grain to the people at the old, affordable price. And second, use the treasury to pay citizens to work on public projects, fixing irrigation channels, repairing the ports. It's basically a stimulus plan, just a couple thousand years ahead of schedule. And you can imagine her court is not happy about this. They're warning her about the cost, but she just shuts them down with this incredible line. If the people exist, the king exists. Otherwise, there is nothing. To her, a pile of gold is useless if her people are dying. Her number one priority is the citizens, not the treasury. And this really gets to the core of how she saw the world, right? You had all these other rulers building giant monuments to themselves, but what did Cleopatra invest in? A library. She wasn't just building an empire of stone, she was building an empire of knowledge. She even tells Nadine, monuments fall, ideas are immortal. And you know, it's right then that it hits Nadine. She's standing in front of a leader who was, in her way of thinking, a full 2,000 years ahead of her time.
But being a forward thinker doesn't make you bulletproof, or in this case, poison-proof. In this next chapter of the story, a perfect storm of threats, both political and personal, is about to crash down on the palace.
Okay, so the situation is getting seriously intense. You've got Julius Caesar and the whole Roman fleet showing up at the gates. At the exact same time, Cleopatra's own brother, Ptolemy, has the port blockaded. And as if that's not bad enough, Nadine discovers a secret plot from within the court to assassinate the queen.
So Nadine races to the queen to warn her. The plan is to poison her at this big public ceremony that's coming up. The big question isn't just how do we stop them, it's how do we catch them red-handed. They need to not only survive this, but somehow turn it into a win. And this is where you see the real strategist in Cleopatra. She comes up with this absolutely masterful counterplan. She decides they're going to let the assassination attempt happen, but instead of, actually dying, they're going to stage its failure as a miracle, an act of divine intervention to prove she's protected by the gods themselves.
So at the big ceremony, everything goes down exactly like they thought it would. The poison is revealed, the traitors are exposed, and Cleopatra turns to the shocked crowd. She declares that her enemies, by trying to kill her, have only made her stronger and proved her divine right to rule. And the crowd just goes wild, chanting her name. In their eyes, she's immortal. So, with her power now stronger than ever, Cleopatra pulls Nadine aside for a private chat. And then, she reveals something absolutely incredible. She knew Nadine was from the future this whole time. She points to Nadine's phone, and then she shows her a second artifact, a perfect twin to the one that brought her here. It's her ticket home.
But hey, before she zaps back to her own time, Nadine has one last, very 21st century request. A quick selfie with the queen. It's this amazing, charming little moment where she shows Cleopatra how to pose, and they capture this impossible photograph right before she activates the artifact and vanishes.
So, back in her own time, Dr. Nadine is left with this really profound thought. Her trip wasn't about changing the past. It was about understanding it. As she puts it, there's no point in rewriting history, but in understanding it to learn something. And that's really the true power of history, isn't it? It's not about changing what was, but about learning from it so we can change who we are today.